why do we call it the fall?
Just for said, he stopped holding on God, so he falls.
Yeah. So there's there's this idea that he's in fellowship with God. They're holding hands, and then he lets go, right? And then he falls down. All right. Any other ideas?
Because man is the crowning glory of God's creation in fellowship with God. Because of disobedience, they fall.
Okay. All right. Good. One more.
This is based on this is based on my own observation. In chapter 3, verse 10 of the Genesis. And he said, chapter 3 and verse 10, and he said, I heard a voice in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Maybe he has fallen on his face. He fell on his face.
He fell on his face?
Yes,
Yeah.
because of his sin.
That's good. All right. So we have yet another idea here that falling implies not just falling short, not just falling away, but falling on your face in a form of shame. Say, I'm ashamed, right? Those are all fascinating answers. I'm actually going to tell you, I don't have the answer to this one. So actually, I've researched it, and I've tried to find out when is the first time we use that language of falling, right? Because actually, the Bible never uses the word fall to refer to the first sin. It does use it other times to refer to sin, like, for example, falling short of the glory of God. But this seems to be something that we just began saying. So actually, I don't have a direct answer. But I think I have an idea. I think I have a pretty good idea. And it has to do with Isaiah. So, not Pastor Isaiah. Sorry. No. It's not your fault. Don't worry. It's Isaiah 14. And you might be familiar with this verse. It says, How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. All right, do you all remember where you've heard this verse before? Usually the common interpretation is that this is referring to Lucifer, right? Often this is read as a description of the fall of Lucifer. Now, I actually think probably the right interpretation here is that this actually refers to the king of Babylon. In the context, if you look, that's who the passage is really focused on, is the king of Babylon. And yet, for some reason, we have attached it to Lucifer because of the ideas there, right? It says clearly that this person, whoever it is, was seeking to be equal to God, seeking to exalt themselves above their appropriate station. And we know that the New Testament does refer to pride as the sort of root sin of Lucifer, right? And so I see why that interpretation is common. And you can talk to your professors later. You can ask them which one is right. Does it refer to Lucifer, the king of Babylon? Maybe it refers to both. Here's one thing I want to suggest as an idea. It is an archetypical description of sin. Archetypical. That's a little strange, a bit of a strange word, right? Sorry. Archetype. What's an archetype? Greek students. Arche. What is arche? So ruler or beginning. Either one, yeah, right? And of course, a type is a sort of a usual thing, right? When we say the word typical, right? That's the usual, right? Archetypical, an archetype is an image or an idea that fits a lot of different things, right? I want to argue this is the archetypical description of sin. In other words, it's a description of sin that applies to everyone, all sin. Whether Lucifer or Adam or the king of Babylon or you. Isaiah is describing sin. Let me explain how. First of all, as we've seen in Psalm 8, all of us, all of God's creatures, especially humans, were created for greatness. When God designed the universe, He had us in mind. He had humans in mind. He said, "These will be my managers. My household managers over earth will be humans." That's an amazing job. God makes us His ambassadors, His representative kings. In fact, there's evidence that the Old Testament Israelites saw themselves as representatives of the king, almost like little kings here on earth. That's what God made Adam and Eve to be, kings and queens. We are designed to rule, to reign over what God has made. That's amazing. That is a high calling. We are created for greatness. But there's a problem. We were created for greatness, but in our pride, we bring ourselves low. We fall. Like the person in the story, in Isaiah 14, we seek even to be higher than what God has given us. We seek to exalt ourselves. And just like a child who has climbed too high in a tree, there's only one way to get out. It's to fall. We set ourselves up in a predicament that we cannot escape, and we fall. Because we reach too high. The Bible will sometimes talk about this like it's a natural law. The exalted will become low. And sometimes it describes it as a result of God Himself intervening. God brings low the haughty, the proud. And so, I'm going to argue that this is basically what we mean when we say that humanity is fallen. What we mean is that God has created us for greatness, but we have done something much worse. He has created us to live in castles, and we have chosen to live in garbage dumps. C.S. Lewis had this analogy. He would say, a child making mud pies. I don't know, is that something we do here in the Philippines? Maybe not. Americans and British people are less nervous about dirt. So my son who's 7 loves to do this during rainy season. You know, he gathers up the mud and he makes it into like a big, like a pie, right? And then he says, here, you can eat it. All right. So if any of you ever are hungry, you know where to go. My children serve all natural food. Organic. It's organic. All right. So C.S. Lewis says, a child might sit making mud pies, playing in the mud, and he might think, this is great. This is what I was made for. When his parents want to bring him to a beautiful beach. And instead, he's content to play in the mud. That's the picture of us humans. We were made for the beach, and yet we've chosen the mud. All right, we're going to take a break. I will let Pastor Leo tell you how long and everything like that, but we will continue as soon as our break is over. Okay,